All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to So What Do You Know About Business, episode number 2, live recording. This is the first one we've opened to the public, so thank you so much for coming. Very excited to be here. We have a Q&A over on the side, so feel free to ask us questions along the way, but I'm going to warn you, we are still feeling out time. We're feeling out our flow on this, so if we don't get to those questions, still keep them coming, and we've got a Facebook group that we will keep the conversation going all week long. So you can join that. I've got a bit.ly set up to go over there. It's bit.ly/no business. How to think about that one. I've got like 20 bit.lys out right now, so I had to remember which one it was. All right, so it's Thursday. We're doing it an hour earlier this time, but it's still happy hour over on the East Coast, so I am not drinking, but I'm going to go down my line here, have everybody introduce themselves, let us know what business what they do, and what they're drinking. So Andrea, you are first in line.
Well, my name's Andrea Trevelyan. I am a small business coach, and since it is kind of like a Thursday thing, I am drinking. One of those weeks I need it, and I am drinking grapefruit and vodka, and my vodka this week is Prairie Organic. You guys will quickly learn I like vodka, and have 7 different bottles in my cupboard right now. So there you go.
I'm going to go over to Andrew. She's right around the corner from me. I'm going to go to record one day.
Yeah, some of those bottles I need help with because I don't like them as much. So come on over.
Thanks. You might not like it, but you can have it. All right, Chandra, you're up next. You're in my list.
Hi all, I'm Chandra Ackberger. I have a serial entrepreneur, so I have Moxie Moguls and Photog currently that I'm doing, and I am drinking water. So, nothing fancy today, but it is what it is. I look forward to some vodka tomorrow.
I was going to say, you'll make up.
Yeah, I will.
All right, Megan, you're next in my line.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan Flatt from meganflatt.com, and I am a business consultant and time management strategist for busy moms who want to start and grow their dream businesses. So I'm excited to be here as always, and I am still finishing off my coffee, and then I've got my water going on too. So, but I am definitely looking forward to that glass of wine a little bit later on. I've got to go to my son's magic show after this. So he's 6, and he's been taking a little magic class, and they're doing a show today. So I'm looking forward to that after we finish up here.
You'd be a little judged if you showed up with wine before.
I'm actually not sure if I would. I'm not sure if I would.
All right, Taylor, you're
All right. Hello, I am Taylor. I am a freelance blogger / marketer in the online marketing space on top of my day job, so hustling really hard. I chose to not drink anything today because I didn't want to go up and go to the bathroom about 5 times with a small bladder. So I was like, I think it's better to just not drink anything. I've had my fix of water. I'm hydrated, so that's where I'm at right now.
All right. Well, I kind of feel bad for you, Andrew, right now. I'm not judging, but so my name's Erin Smith. I own the company called The Starters Club. I am drinking kombucha, but it's only because so yesterday I had this stupid person waste 4 hours of my time having me haul a foster puppy all the way over to Fort Worth and back.
Oh.
So I drowned my sorrows with whiskey in the afternoon. Didn't get anything else done. I was so pissed off. I'm like,
What type of whiskey? I'm curious. I'm a whiskey woman too, so I'm just curious.
This ice cream drink was great. It was Maker's Mark with caramel and ice cream, and I had really it doesn't taste much anymore, so I had a big glass of that, and it was delicious. And I came home and passed out. So I have to do kombucha today. But,
there is alcohol in kombucha, though, just so you know.
No, I know.
So
I know. Something's not look good right now, but
Yeah.
all right. So let's go same line, everybody. Andrea, you're first. Tell us one big lesson or a couple small lessons of what you learned in business this week.
Well, first of all, I will just drink for all of us. All right, I got that covered. Okay. So I learned so much this week, and that's this. It's like that every week. But two things. I'm going to go with two, and then we can kind of get into whatever one you want. One is like the total actual business thing. I have learned again. Facebook is really frustrating. So I've accepted the fact that you kind of have to pay to play now, and have been testing ads. And it's so frustrating because they want you to pay to play, but then they won't accept your ad. I'm like, what? So frustrating. So with that, it was the kick out of too much text in your advertisement, which I'm sorry, I just don't get why that's a problem. Anyway, so kind of playing with that, decided that I'm just going to go with pictures instead of like any text at all, so I don't have to worry about that. And then my next other big aha moment was I was working with my coach earlier, and you know, I believe on doing visioning and strategy and, you know, this big picture look. And I kept kind of getting stuck on like execution because I was looking too far down the road. And I learned that it's equally as effective to envision where am I literally next Thursday, and what does future self tell me I need to be doing from now from that. So those are my two learns. I don't know who wants to talk about what.
Okay, hold on. You froze out on me a little bit. So on the learning on the like from so you're talking like just envisioning a week versus even 2 years out, like really being that hyper focused on your vision.
Yeah, because you know, as business owners, and I even work with this with my clients, how, you know, it's really important. Where do you want to be in 6 months? What about a year? What about 5 years? What about 10 years? But sometimes it helps to go, where do you want to be next week? And how is that different from today? And that shift really, really was huge.
Mm-hmm. It really is the accumulation of baby steps that really gets you to that next goal. So I think that's good that you're like focusing on the week ahead, because a lot can happen in 1 week.
Well, and I had always taken my like long-term goals and broken them down into daily steps, but I'd never stopped to really go, okay, how is it different next week? I get that this is going to take me out 6 months, but no, what do I want to be permanently changed by next week? And that was cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, can you give an example of like one of those things that you focused on?
Well, like one example was I just envisioned having like one more client, and like how does that affect my workload, and what needs to shift for me to still be comfortable having one more client. And the things that came up were outsourcing, you know, so outsourcing video editing and imaging and food prep for the family. Normally I've always taken care of that, but I've been so behind that, you know, so it really kind of looking at it from, okay, by next week I want one more client, but what do I need to do to get there was the big aha shift. Now I got to schedule the time to order the food so I don't have to do that.
I feel like as entrepreneurs, it's really easy to forget that you need to eat, let alone like your family needs to eat. And sometimes you don't always account for that.
It's a huge problem because it's like, okay, when you forget to eat, but then you have kids and you're just like, crap, they got again? You have to eat again. And like, you want dinner again? What? You had dinner yesterday. No, but it's a problem when they're having like 5 meals a day, you know, like where they're just eating all day long and you're like having to prep. So I love that idea of considering prep in your like food prep in your vision as far as like getting through the week, because I mean it's just very, very time consuming. So yeah,
Well,
that's
and for me, it's a big block because I'm very into healthy, natural, and I don't eat dairy and all these things. So it's not something that I can just go order pizza because I can't, So that really was the big one. And we're having a bunch of work done on our house. So lately, the thing that's been blocking my energy is just managing the things like that. So
Yeah.
looking at it from next week was huge.
that's
I
awesome.
I always say, we can't plan. So often we get so focused on business planning, but we forget whether you have kids or you don't have kids. Like I always say, we can't do our planning in a vacuum. Like it's easy to plan. Like, okay, this is what I want to do in my business in the next 6 months or 3 months or a week, like you were saying. But like really stepping back, I know for me, we're rolling into my kids are off from school 2 days next week, and then then they're off for a week at Thanksgiving, and if I'm not thinking about that aspect too while I'm doing my business planning, not to mention the day-to-day of like, okay, well, what time do I need to leave to get to pick up the kids, or like all of those things, but even just factoring in, you can have these big business goals, but if you're not factoring in the things like work being done on your house or school vacations, you're going to get all muddled in there. So I think it's a good lesson too, to remember to always kind of be looking at all the aspects of your life and what needs to change, or not change, but be planned for.
Yeah, I have to say what's crazy for me too is when I worked a corporate job. So I hated my job so much that like at 9 a.m. I was planning lunch, and then probably by like 1 p.m. I was like, what am I gonna eat when I get home for dinner? And now I'm to a point where this is not healthy. I had a lot of other issues then too, but I'm at a point now where it's like 5 o'clock. I'm sitting there and JJ will come home. I'm like, God, I don't know if I ate today. Like, and I'll be like, all of a sudden I'll start shaking at like 6 o'clock, and I'm like, crap, and I can't believe like how much it shifts. Like when you really are doing what you love, like you don't obsess about food like I did. I probably ate 20 more pounds too for a reason.
Well, especially if you have limited, because I know like I'm pretty much working during my kids' school hours, so I'm like, hammering to 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so I'll work right through lunch, and then by the time I leave my house at 2 and go get my kids and come back, all of a sudden it's 3, and I'm like, then I'm thinking I'm shaking, or I'm ready, I haven't even eaten lunch. And then I eat lunch at 3, and then 5 or 6 rolls around and we're trying to have dinner, and I'm not hungry because I just ate at 3. And so I gotta, planning all that in is super important.
Yeah, it's crazy how it changes when you enjoy doing your work. You got to be very cautious.
Absolutely.
All right,
We
Chandra.
should collectively put together like a PDF of our tips for meal planning and taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell right now emails is amazing if you've never gotten on emails.
Emails.
And the other thing that's really awesome is your crock pot. There's so many times that the crock pot has saved me, and like I'll buy chicken in mass quantities and freeze it and toss the frozen chicken in the crock pot, toss a can of Rotels on it, and guess what you have at dinner time? You got dinner.
Yeah.
Go figure.
I know, amazing, huh?
At dinner time, that is a good thing, right? Like when you're just like, oh, okay, it's dinner time, and just thinking about it. Very cool.
All right,
Very
Chandra,
cool.
you are next.
I guess my big takeaway from this past week was counterintuitive, and it was slow down, and I got so much more done. So I opened my big mouth last week, and I said, your body will tell you when it is done, and then essentially exactly 24 hours later, my body completely shut down. I was shut down this weekend. I could not do anything. I couldn't get out of bed. I was just like, happens like once every 2 to 3 years where it's just, and it was just 48 hours of just not being able to do anything. But I was in bed and I finally went through, I have like a physical inbox in my office where I put stuff, inspirations and courses I took, things that I'm supposed to look at once a month that I don't. And I just laid in bed and I actually went through this entire box. I got so much more done. And not that I need a lot of ideas, because I'm a pretty inspired person. I'm pretty sure probably you guys are too, where it's just like a lot of ideas all the time. It's just like what to act on. I just seem to have so much more clarity this week after just slowing down and being forced to slow down. Because it's just like, there's no time, it's hurry, and it's just like steady and slow wins the race, man. Where did that come from? Why has no one told me? Where you're just like, go, 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 we gotta, we have to do this. And then I actually did a physical vision board for this month, and I think I'm going to do monthly vision boards going on, that where I usually do digital ones where I've like kind of just like hacked into it's an interior design program that's for the iPad that lets you do collages and stuff. So I just do that for my vision boards. And it works really cool, and I'll send you guys the links, and we can put it in show notes, I guess, or talk about it on the Facebook page, because that's a really cool thing to do on the iPad. But it's really important to have like the tactile, physical, cut out, spend 5 minutes, and I just like cut out a bunch of stuff, and I have a bunch of empty frames, and I just put it in an 11 by 17 frames, all these words that I want to have done by November, and I have a plan and essentially like a planner for the next year, because I mentioned before I wanted to do a kind of like in the now type either course, and in that would be meals and maybe, I don't know if anybody does freezer meals or things like that, and like these are all conversations that happen over and over and over again, and it just seems like there's never a minute to stop and just be like, okay, well, what's stopping me from doing this right now? And it's just basically trying to get everything done at once instead of just slowing down, the focus thing, and slowing down and being like, okay, I'm going to concentrate on this inbox, check. Now, what do I want for this next month? Oh, a vision board. How about I just do a little vision board, and I've just gotten so much done with being totally out for like 2 days on the weekend, and then having a little minor day surgery on Tuesday and being totally out on Tuesday too. And I've gotten like more done than I have in like the past month, I think.
Oh, wow.
I'm just like have been so productive and actually completing things, not just like starting new things.
This just happened to a friend of mine. One of my business friends had LASIK surgery 2 weeks ago, and she wasn't allowed to look at a screen. So she couldn't be on her phone, she couldn't be on her computer, her iPad, anything. And we have a weekly call, and she and I got on the call with a couple other business ladies, and she had all of these brand new business ideas, and she's like, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. And it's kind of like that. We were laughing, but it's like that when you, by her kind of removing herself from that day-to-day work that she was doing, she came up with all these like really good, not just ideas, but like full plans, because she had really been able to spend some time just in her brain. And so we were all just kind of saying how, our society is so connected, and it's so easy. We've got everything on our phones, and on our cars, and then our wrists, and everywhere else. And so for her, and then same with you, for you to like have to like physically disconnect for a while, that's all of a sudden your bandwidth improves. And
it's called the beginner's mind, right? Your brain like when you travel and you go to a new place, and you have to you kind of have to think like a child. And so I think that's totally right? And it's not just an idea, it's these total plans that have come out of it. And it's the beginner's mind. I have to like reset, because I'm not doing what I'm doing every day, and that's always in front of a screen, right?
Yeah.
It's just like either to the computer, and if I'm not at the computer, we have a computer in every room in this house, like literally. Our TV is a computer, and we have a projector upstairs that's connected to a computer, and then like I have like 4 monitors in my office, and like, so it's just always connected, and to having to disconnect, it's that beginner's brain goes, sorry, I'm going over. So that's what I've learned this week. Slow down so that you can get more done.
I'm liking this like mini vision board stuff though. I've never.
Oh, it's awesome.
I do a year, and I'm like, good. I got my Oprah. I'm good. The mini thing. All right, Megan, you're up.
Well, mine's going to just carry on the thread. So I have declared this month November. So I wrote a blog post about it this week, and it just, we were talking a lot last week about self-care, and then what Chandra was just talking about, and I've really been thinking about, kind of that idea, and I think we were talking about it. I don't remember. I can't remember what I was saying, but this idea that when you say no to something, we tend to be, especially in our businesses, we get these great opportunities that come up, or we have these things that we want to do, or these ideas that we come up with, and sometimes it's just like, okay, yeah, I got to do it. Or when you've got kids, it's like, oh yes, I'll volunteer in my kid's classroom, or I'll do this, or and sometimes just stepping back. And a friend said to me, like, what if you just defaulted to saying no? Like, what if you always say no, and then you have a chance to, think about it a little more before you say yes? And I thought, gosh, what an interesting concept. And so, I'm really just kind of taking this month to not slow down, but just be really conscious of what I'm saying yes to. And I just already, I feel like it's that the universe responds. It's like the door doesn't close without a window opening. Like, and that is proven over and over and over again. But sometimes we forget that. And so I just want to really encourage, all of you and people listening in, like, just what can you say no to? And that can be something physical. That's the way I was thinking of it, like literally looking at my calendar and what event can I skip, or what item on my to-do list can I cross off. Like, that's the way I was thinking about it. But I posed the question in one of my Facebook groups, and people really chimed in with, I'm going to say no to self-doubt, or I'm going to say no to not taking action, or I'm going to say no to all these mental characteristics too, or things that we self-sabotage and things that we do. So I just thought it was really an interesting conversation, and so that's what I learned this week, is that you can say no to things, and it's not about doing less, but it's just about being more specific and aware with what you are doing.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Time is very precious, and I love that. November, like, that's perfect to keep it top of mind during this month.
Well, I'm so I'm not a hashtag. I'm not very good on Twitter, but so I keep kind of saying, like, I'm like, hashtag November, like, capital N-O. So yeah. So if you see me around on Facebook, I'm going to be hashtagging my November all over the place.
Oh, I will help that hashtag along. I just wanted to say amen like 8,000 times. Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's my only issue with that. In this, I tend to, especially if somebody invites me to something, like, I'm a big networker, so I'll go. And I tend to do things like a couple weeks ago. I don't know exactly what I'm getting myself into, but if somebody's like, you should go, I'm like, okay. And you should do this walk on fire thing. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Oprah did it. I'll do it. So I didn't know what it was exactly. I thought it was this, like, thing. I go to JJ, I'm like, do you want to go walk on fire? He's like, yeah, sure. And then all of a sudden it was like this 12-hour thing. And I'm like, whoa, I don't think we can both go because we got to get the kids. But it ended up being this, like, transformational day for me, like, just amazing. Like, I broke the board. I walked on fire. It was amazing. And so that's what my struggle is, because I really encourage people, when opportunities are presented to you, take them, because you just don't know what's about to happen.
Well,
so that's my struggle with that.
But here's the thing. The reason you were able to have 12 hours free to go to something that ended up being completely transformational is because at some previous point you'd chosen to say no to something that wasn't going to be as transformational, or wasn't going to be, I find that sometimes we do these things because we think we should do them, or, and so that's exactly, I think we're actually agreeing in a way, because I actually think that maybe you're just a little further along in that process. I think that you've decided, okay, these networking opportunities are really important to me, so you've made other decisions in your life to make sure that you have the space to say yes to those opportunities. That's what the title of my blog post was. Something, the tagline was something like, when you're saying no, you're leaving more room to say yes to other things, and that's what it's all about to me. And for example, on the home side, we got invited to a 40th birthday party this weekend, and it's a family of one of my son's classmates. We don't really know them that well. we were going to go. We had trouble finding a babysitter. You know, it's kind of like all those things. And finally, my husband and I decided last night, you're like, you know what? We've both been working a ton lately. We've both been like alternating nights. We've been out. We haven't all been home together as a family all week. It's like, let's just skip this party. And then what we're going to say yes to is being able to be home with the family, you know, which is something that we haven't gotten to do. And, you know, so it's kind of like those, it's like, all right, you know, yeah, the party would have been fun and, you know, we would have had a good time, but making those decisions sometimes so you can say yes to something else.
And
well,
I think it's
go ahead. You know, it's all about priorities, you know, so say no to what isn't your priority. So like and I was even thinking about this last week too, but I actually set 5 priorities a year. And if it doesn't fall into those priorities, then it doesn't, you know, go. So yeah, Erin, your priority is networking, to meet more people and to grow. So that's something else you said no to. And family is more important than the party of not your best friend, you know. So if you understand what is really important in life, saying no is actually easy.
Right. And I actually did that. I love that you set them for the year, because I did this recently and set monthly objectives, kind of the same way Chandra was talking about her monthly vision board. I kind of set some monthly objectives for both my business and my family. And one of my objectives, well, not monthly, quarterly. And one of my objectives, it's funny that you say that because I hadn't even really thought about it this way, but one of my objectives for my family for this quarter was both my kids started new kind of schools this year, and I really wanted to just provide a stable foundation for them because they're having so much transition this year. So things like having mom or dad gone every single night and then leaving them home with a babysitter so we can go out again is not, you know, living up to that objective that I set to be a really stable family unit for this fall. Come January, they're on their own. Like come January,
you're out. But I set 5 single words. So
I love it.
It'll be like health, family, like just single words that describe everything that I'm focusing on, and then decisions are easy if I go back to those.
Right. Yeah, and I was going to say the same exact thing about prioritizing, and then also, that's what I did this year for the first time. Instead of a huge like resolution or goal for the year and specific, it was three themes basically that I'm theming this year on, and then cutting it down to quarterly vision boards, a yearly, quarterly vision boards, and then now I'm also theming out my monthly. But it drives me, and I've said this before, and I don't know if it was here, but it does drive me crazy when everyone's like, I don't have the time. It's like, you know, like I don't believe in complaining. I'm going to complain about complaining right now. I don't believe in complaining because I think it's just all about priorities, right? And then like it's just whatever you said yes to that thing that you didn't really, you know, like you were saying, we think we're supposed to, or you know, like guilt is not a reason to do anything at all. You should be saying no if the only reason you're doing something is because you feel guilty about it, not if it's going to serve you and your family and where you want to be. And so those are the things I think we should say no to. But like, definitely say no so you can make room for hell yes, and you can show up in your life the way you want to, right? And you can just go walk on fire, like, you know, that's freaking awesome. You have like this confidence like to do that. And but yeah, prioritizing is so important, and knowing that you want that. I mean, we can't buy time. It's the one thing you can't buy, and the more successful you get, the more you realize like it's just like, okay, what next? And it's just like, I wish I had more time. So how am I going to make that more time? I'm going to say no so that I can be here, present, showing up. Yeah.
Preach.
Cheers.
Very much agreed. Very much agreed.
Yeah.
It's weird on a side note. I was not scared of walking on fire. I don't know why. I was okay with burning my feet. I was terrified of breaking the board. I was just like, I can't. I can't. It was weird. But all right. Taylor, it was awesome experience. I highly encourage all of you that live in Dallas. We're doing it again in February. So I highly encourage everybody to come. But Taylor, you are next.
All right. So this week, it's been really cool. I guess just starting over with my vision and where I want to go in business and what direction I'm wanting to take. I'm really honing in on the intuition part, which I believe that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to business, because it's very much, what's logical, what's practical, how can we analyze this? And I'm a very I'm both right and left brain, so I'm very analytical and creative, which is why I think I loved marketing. But besides that, in my previous venture, just a couple months ago with a business and podcast, I've realized looking back that I was really analytical in the decisions that I made and how I performed during it and operated during it, and just like everything that I was putting into it was very analytical. And now that I have chosen to go this new direction with this fresh start, I'm really embracing like my creative side, and I feel like I starved that part of me for so long in a lot of areas of my life. And yes, I would do things outside of work. I act and dance and play piano, but like I didn't really like pursue the path of doing that fully and then integrating business. So that's kind of in the place where I'm at. But since then, I had this kind of like epiphany just yesterday, or today I actually tweeted about it too. But just really having the right mindset and attitude allows you to open the door for change. And not even just you, it just like Megan was saying, like when like the universe is going to welcome that too. And so with my previous venture, I just didn't have the best attitude, and like I had really good intentions, but I didn't have a good attitude like outside of that. And now that I've kind of flipped my life around and embracing the creative side of me, wanting to pursue my passions fully while integrating business and embracing where I'm at with my day job, like everything about my life, I feel like abundance has come in, which is so cool that I'm experiencing that. And that was my realization, is that since I've refocused and accepted where I'm at and where I want to go, but not obsessing about that part, I've gotten like a load of side projects that have come in, and just really, really cool things that are happening because I just feel like I'm in a better place for that to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting how we have these accidental themes that come up in our discussions.
I think they're really accidental, right?
Yeah,
it's just
right, back to the universe.
This is the way it goes. Serendipity. That's what happens when you're with other people, right? So it's the way it's supposed to be.
But yeah, it's just so interesting to hear you say that, because it's kind of what we've all been saying. It's like you kind of gave yourself, you were just on this path, like doing what you thought you should be doing. And when you were able to step back and, give yourself a little space to think about that path, then it's like all of a sudden you're really on the right path, and the universe kind of responds, and opportunities present itself.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And yeah, I was just busting my butt like so hard because I wanted to work out so much. But the more I did it, it was like the more resistance there was, and finally it just fell apart, which was the biggest blessing ever, because now like I don't know, I feel like there's just a really big shift, and just better, more positive energy. So.
Well, and our brains are wired that they look for what they know. So when you get stuck in those cycles, they're not looking for an alternative. Your brain it's one-way road. And so when things happen in our life that jars us, or business isn't going well, it allows space for new ideas to come in, and that's when we can make shifts.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a quote that I heard the other day, and it's, in the valley of failure, success is found. And it's like, so it was so profound. I heard that and I was just like, wow. Like, it was from someone who has failed a lot but had a few successes. But it sounds like you are finding your voice, right? Like, once you start to like find your own voice, you realize like why something didn't work so clearly. You're just like,
Mhm.
oh, wait a minute. I was trying to do that because I thought I was supposed to be doing that, right? That supposed keeps on coming up. And then you're just like, but this is who, like, I, you think you were being true to yourself because you're getting something going, and then you're really not because it's not in your voice. And finding your voice is just really, I think we just always work on that because it changes. But once it sounds like you're like just stepping into it. Good stuff.
And congratulations on doing that pre-turning
absolutely.
40.
That's I was gonna say too. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge. So
Yeah. Well,
true.
thank you for because that's what I was thinking in my head, but also hearing your perspectives right now and like your take on it on what I've been feeling. Like I don't know, it's added even more perspective to what I'm going through, because that's what happened is like I just wasn't following my true authentic self in a lot of like different ways, like whether it be physically or mentally, emotionally, like it just wasn't working out. So I just had to have that valley of failure, like Chandra was saying. I love that quote. So true.
Yeah, I've been in the valley many of times and been all right, cool. So mine is not mine's a little more like business. But I have three actually. I got the Webinar Jam curse today. I hear people all the time talk about Webinar Jam sitting on the platform. It's a webinar platform that sits on Google Hangouts. 20 minutes before I had this webinar, I've been my social media made easy, been advertising for a week, and 20 minutes before all of a sudden I got into my webinar, I'm like, something's not right. And I didn't know because I hadn't run one in about a month, so I'm like, what? This isn't right. Long story short, Google changed an API that effed up everything. Webinar Jam didn't tell any of their users this. You had to go into the Webinar Jam group to see a post so I had to make that gut-wrenching email to all the participants and say, I'm sorry, this isn't going to happen. I don't have a platform. So never tried to do that before. It's okay. I'm going to do it again next week, Thursday, same time, but it's just, it sucks. Like, I'm like, oh, Webinar Jam's fantastic. I learned my lesson. So that was like, it was a good lesson learned. It was okay. The world didn't end because I hate letting people down. It's like the worst thing I can do is to let somebody down. So lesson learned, and I'm alive and well to tell the story. Another one was iPhone videos. So we've been doing a lot of video. We've got this little studio upstairs. We've got this Sony HD cam, but it's like excruciating to pull the video off and change it and all of that stuff. So last night, in true Erin format, I had procrastinated, and at 10 o'clock at night had to do a video for today. And we're like, you know what? Let's just set up the Google or JJ's iPhone 6. We set it up on this little like $7 stand he got for a tripod. The audio was the only thing that was a little worse. I sounded a little boxy using the same microphone, but video, just as good quality, like if not better. So if you are thinking you need to go until you're gonna like upgrade massively, go for the iPhone. It was really shockingly good. And then
I shoot all my videos on my iPhone, and they've done side-by-side comparisons between DSLR cameras and iPhones, and you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm like, come on, there's got to be, but for the time saved, we're talking 20, 30 minutes at least processing time on the videos, which when you have several videos, that's a lifesaver. So
wow.
Pleasantly surprised. And then I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but I learned about it this week, and Sway. Do you guys know what Sway is? SWAYY?
No.
Okay.
Mhm.
Google Alerts on steroids, and
Mhm.
somebody, it is like the most awesome freaking thing in the world. You can set up what you're interested in for your business. So as you're trying to think of stuff to tweet and post out to your audience that they're going to find relevant, it's free up until, I don't know when they start charging you, but what I use it for is free. And then you can hook up your Twitter, your Facebook, and your LinkedIn accounts and just send out articles that are relevant to your users. It was, oh my God, best thing in the whole wide world. I'm like, where's this been all my life?
Wow. Time saver for sure.
Yeah, highly recommend you get on it. It's SWAYY. So that was my.
Awesome.
Sway is awesome, and then also honestly, I've been using them for a while, and they send me emails. And Clout itself,
Yeah.
like if you go into Clout,
Mm-hmm.
it will tell you. And it used to be like it was just a number, right? Where you're just like, okay, I have a Clout number. It tells me what my influence is and what have you. But now they've set up in there so well that it reads your audience, and it tells you this post and a bunch of articles on whatever you want. I have photography, history, I mean all my wide range marketing, entrepreneurship. So I have all these categories, and then it says this is going to appeal to 50% of your article. This is a 50% of your audience is going to really like this, or will probably retweet this. And I've noticed my Twitter is growing at a much faster rate because I'm starting to I use that and Sway as well, but and a couple of others. But I'm thinking that Clout itself is one of the really great ones because it tells you, it reads your audience. So, and it says, sorry.
So that's interesting you brought that up though, because my question to that is, so when you send via Clout, it says like it's like a link to say it's from Clout, and I was wondering if that turns off someone.
And I think it does. So
Okay.
I think it did. So for a long time, for when they first started, I would just click into the article and then schedule that. Right, so you can do that, or you can really, if you really want to dive deep into having the metrics for it, you can always do a bit.ly or a tiny URL, right? So you can gauge all the URLs that you go out there. I mean, if you want to spend the time doing that. But recently, I've been actually just letting it go with the Clout, and people don't seem to care. I still get the favorites and the retweets. From certain ones, and I think my photography audience does care a little bit. They want to see a natively post link. They don't want to see the Clout, but it just depends on what audience I'm trying to appeal to. And I do have a wide range of audiences for one account, but those tools are awesome. And then the emails that I get from Sway just to see what's out there is so awesome to have that just pre-set up and not have to think about it. There's so much content out there. It's just like wading through it, right? You know, and what's right for your audience or audiences.
Mhm.
Well, the one that I use, and if you don't already have an audience and you're trying to figure out what is popular among your ideal clients, is BuzzSumo. And you can either type in an actual URL or a keyword, and it will pull up the most socially shared articles on that topic or on that URL.
Yeah.
And that's really handy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have
That's
to
awesome.
check it out because any help I can get on that front is helpful because you just feel it's like, oh my God, okay, now I've got to work, create products, market myself, and then find other people's crap to post. Not crap, but you know what
And
I'm saying.
and honestly, this was something that I did. No, a couple weeks ago, I started doing this on Sunday. Basically, I block out an hour of time, and I just schedule all my tweets for the week. And if something happens, I mean, I discontinue them if something like major happens in the news or whatever, because I hate, you know, if I know I have anything that's controversial. However, I usually don't. I usually have just business stuff or history stuff, and then also sometimes like just stuff that other people aren't posting. But to have it all in one place and lined up is really, really nice, right? I mean, instead of just being like, oh, well, go and play fetch everywhere around the interwebs,
No, complete. That's exactly what I do. Sunday night is my Twitter night. So, all right, awesome. Well, I've got some takeaways then too. We are at our 45-minute time frame, and we will post all this stuff. So, like I said, if you want, we've got a Facebook group set up. Just register to get in. It's bit.ly/no KNOW no business, and you can join us over there. We'll be popping in throughout the week. We'll post all this stuff that we're talking about, and just join us over there. And until next week, we will see you all then. So thank you so much for watching and listening.
Thanks for joining.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hello.